Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thank you guys so much for joining today. We're really excited to be here from Line Zero. Steve took my whole opening, so I'm going to try and work through this now. But as you mentioned, my name is Josh. I'm the head of accounts and partnerships at Line Zero, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering who Line Zero is. Line Zero is an employee experience consultancy, and we focus on building and enhancing the employee experience through technology. Previously, we were the largest partner of Workplace by Meta, and now we're the largest global partner of WorkVivo by Zoom. And we're super excited to be here to talk about the employee experience and what's happening within the labor markets that we're seeing today. Our objective when we work with a lot of our partners that you're seeing up there on the screen is to act as an extension of their organizations. What we do is we work with our partners to help them build and deploy their employee experience through technology. And we work as an extension of their comms teams, their HR teams, because we know that resources are limited and really helping them understand what's going on within the market is so important. And we look at our business and we look at the employee experience from day one, not just throughout maturity, but we really go from if you're an employee starting with an organization, what's the experience like from the first day that you start with that company? And then how do we continue to push that positive momentum throughout the maturity of that employee within the life cycle of them being there? So today we're going to cover some of the trends that we're seeing within the market. We're going to cover ways that we can adapt and evolve the employee experience through technology. And most importantly, I want everyone to think today about what is the biggest challenge that is facing your organization today when it comes to employee experience. And think about that throughout the presentation. As you see the statistics, as you see some of the information that's coming out of what we're seeing within the labor market today, think about how that impacts your own organization. Think about how that impacts the employees that you work with on a day-to-day basis. Think about the organization, how they make them feel, how connected your employees are to the organization's mission, how much they are excited and inspired to go to work every day. Think about those things as we look at some of these very interesting statistics that we are going to see. But before we get to all of that, I'm going to break the cardinal rule of presentations, and I'm actually going to ask you all to bring out your phones because I want to get the creative juices flowing. I want to get the brain working. So I'm going to ask you all to scan this QR code, and I'm just going to activate. I'm going to pull mine out too. We're going to activate this poll here. You should be able to see it now if you're scanning that QR code. We're going to start with some more fun, energetic questions. And I'm going to be reading out the results to you guys because unfortunately we can't show them up on the screen. But as you're going through, we're going to get into some more employee engagement questions. Don't worry, I promise. But currently flying is actually at the top of the list. Everybody's got flying. Oh, no, mind reading. Now as HR people, that makes a lot of sense. Mind reading still number one right now. I'm going to give you guys a couple more seconds here because unfortunately I do have a time limit as much as I would like to stay up here and play games. 44%, 45% are all saying mind reading. All right, so we're all in the right spot then. We're going to jump to the next one real quick. Favorite way to eat pizza? As an Italian, I'm going to judge every single answer that comes through here, so just know that. Hasn't changed? Oh, well, that's a problem. How about now? There we go. Now you'll understand the Italian joke. Just normal, love it, 60%. 60% so far, 65%. Crust first, 3%. So one person in here is eating it backwards. I like it. Unique, I like it. Awesome, okay, so 61% are normal, love it. We're going to jump to the next one here. Should see it there. If you could travel into time, where would you go first? .44% passed. Another dimension, 20%. I like that. That's very relevant. That's very, very relevant. Future, 23%, 24%. I feel like we're already living in the future. 45% of the past. All right. Love that one. Let's get into some of the employee engagement questions now. So I'm going to ask you guys, what is the one word to describe the main employee experience challenge that you are facing within your organizations today? Amazing, we're getting some coming. Trust is the number one coming in right now. Engagement, connection, communication. Trust is still number one. Culture, connection, communication, trust again. I'm seeing the words come through as which one's the biggest, and trust is just the biggest because the most people here are saying trust, just for the record. So just so you guys all know, trust is the number one thing that you guys are all saying is the biggest challenge for you. All right, we're gonna move to the next one here. What are the top 3 tools that you are currently using to address this challenge? Email, surveys, AI. Oh, we got a WorkVivo, amazing. Surveys, email. Well, email is very quickly winning as the number one source of how we are addressing this problem today. Amazing. All right, we're gonna jump ahead here. If you had a genie in front of you, what is your wish to elevate your employee experience within your organizations today? Budget. Money. Budget. It is crazy how big budget is on my phone right now. Alignment with leadership, fantastic. Budget, money. All right, so we get the idea here. It's all budget related. All right. And I'm gonna activate this last one here for you guys. Oh. All right, it is not letting me activate that last question. But thank you guys very much for indulging me in that. So what we heard there was email is the number one platform being used today to address employee engagement. And budget is the number one thing that we would all wish for if we had a genie in front of us to help. So in the spirit of budget, I want to show you guys a statistic that we're currently seeing within the employee labor market, that the lack of and the impact of employee engagement is costing the world economy $8.9 trillion. Now that's 10% of the global economy. So when we look at that number and we think to ourselves, okay, budget's the number one concern. A number like this shows that not investing in the employee experience, the opportunity cost of not investing in the employee experience fully outweighs the investment that you would make. $8.9 trillion, 10% of the world's economy. That's a staggering number to think about. And as you look, Gallup has pulled a number of statistics from a lot of their surveys and market research, and they're showing that 1 in 4 employees are disengaged within their workforce. That's a Gallup statistic, 1 in 4. So if you go back to your organizations on Wednesday tomorrow, you start talking to 4 people, 1 of them is just not engaged. But investing in the employee experience leads to 43% less turnover, an 81% increase in reduction in absenteeism, and a 20% increase in productivity. So if we're looking at statistics and we're looking at budget and we're looking at the opportunity cost of it all, not investing in this far outweighs the cost of actually making the investment. I'm gonna give you guys a second to look at some of these statistics here, and I want you guys to raise your hand if these numbers are a shock to you. And we've pulled these numbers from a number of different sources and consolidated them all here, and not one person has their hand up. So as HR leaders, as trainers, as internal comms managers, this is not a shock to you. You're all saying basically that this is what we would say if we were to look at our current workforce today. 80% of our employees feel lonely. 4 out of 5 feel lonely. 3 out of 5 are burnt out. These are statistics that I don't think we can ignore. These are statistics that clearly articulate that we are facing a massive problem when it comes to the labor market today. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? This slide here kind of articulates a lot of correlations. So a lot of the data that we're seeing within the industry, we want to take a look at it and kind of start to forecast out where we're going. Because all this data that we're taking and all of these statistics are retroactive. They're all looking back at the past. So if we look at 2022, when we saw the Great Resignation, we saw a lot of people in the boomer cohort take early retirement. They didn't want to continue to push forward. They're like, all right, I'm gonna step back. And we saw a lot of millennials turn over at their current employer. What was staggering about the millennial age gap is that of the millennials that turned over during the 2022 Great Resignation, 47% of them were high performers. Now, why is that important? High performers outperform the average employee at a rate of 4-to-1, and they make up about 15% of your organization. So as we look at the employee experience, and we look at investing in the employee experience, and we look at the champions that we want to continue to push our culture forward, those high performers are the people that we want to engage with. Those high performers are the ones that we want leading the charge behind our employee experience, behind driving our culture. And we saw almost a 50% turnover of those employees in 2022. Now, the other interesting statistic is that millennials, when we're looking at age cohorts, they usually turn over or change jobs on an average of anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So if we look at the Great Resignation, and we look at where we are today, and we look at trying to forecast out problems that as HR leaders we might be seeing, there's a good opportunity here for us to start diving into ways to stop this mass turnover, especially with our high performers. And there's a number of ways that we can do that. This slide is one of my favorites. This chart is one of my favorites. It is from a talk that Simon Sinek did, where he was talking where he worked with the Navy SEALs, so the most elite of the elite task force he worked with. And he asked one of the commanders, he said, how do you go about selecting your team? How do you go about selecting the people that you want to put in the most high pressure, high level situations? And he drew this chart. He put performance on the y-axis and he put trust on the x-axis. And what he said was, the high performance, low trust person, this is a toxic team member. This is somebody that nobody wants to work with, nobody wants to collaborate with. Even though they're driving high performance, they would sooner select somebody that is medium performance and high trust over somebody who is high performance and low trust. Now, obviously, the low performance, low trust person is somebody that we don't want within our organizations, and high performance, high trust is a unicorn. But the other interesting thing was that he said he would sooner select somebody that was low performance, high trust over somebody who is high performance, high trust. So the most elite task force on the planet is going to select someone that is showing lower performance, high trust within the organization. The reason why I find this interesting is because I asked one of the chief people officers in one of the enterprise organizations that we work with, I said, how have you found organizations that you've been a part of that don't invest in the employee experience? And what is the strategy that you guys are implementing in their current organization that you are investing your employee experience with? And she said something that was interesting. She said that within the US economy, we do a really good job of inspiring and encouraging entrepreneurship. It's in the DNA of the US economy. And entrepreneurs are ones that are probably within your organizations today. And she said, when we invested in the employee experience, when we deployed technology to do so, we created more intrapreneurs, so people who would likely become entrepreneurs, but stayed within our organization. And we did so because we made them feel part of the progress moving forward within the culture. And the way they invested in it, and those people that they are selecting are in that high trust category. Those high trust categories are those intrapreneurs that you want to encourage within your organization. Those are the high performers. Those are the 15% of your organizations that you want to continue to keep and continue to encourage to be part of the culture within your organizations. So I found that very interesting. Now the question is, how are we going to do this through technology? We're seeing a mass consolidation now when it comes to tech stacks. We're obviously going to have our productivity suites. We need to make sure that we're using those. We're obviously going to have and keep our HR suites because we need those as well. But they don't talk to each other. There's no collaboration between these platforms. We're going to 15 different spaces where we've got multiple apps on our phones. What if we had one? What if we had one that connected everybody? What if we had one that connected our organizations, connected our cultures, and also led to connections between our productivity suites and our HR suites? Seems pretty perfect, right? And the truth is, it's there. We have that. We have that at our fingertips today. Some organizations are still, as I mentioned, communicating in this way. They're communicating with different touch points, multiple different areas for information. And as we all just went through today, email is still the number one. Those emails, those mass emails that are big company updates, very important information about the direction of the organization are being sent out through @all emails, which I don't know if you guys read them, but they usually fall to the bottom of my inbox. So we want to make sure that we're encouraging them. I don't know about how you guys engage with your family members or with your friends, but if I get an @all email from a friend, I usually call them and I say, hey, are you okay? What are we doing? It's not how we communicate. We're moving towards a new mode of communicating within our organizations. Legacy communications and top-down communications is something that, showed hierarchy, it showed clear efficiency, but it's not effective. It's not inspiring. It's not empowering our employees and our team members to actually go out and be entrepreneurs for the business. That's not what's happening. These are updates, and they're falling to the bottom of the priority list. One of the interesting things is we start looking at this open communication realm that we're moving towards, especially within technology, especially by deploying some of the technologies that we have at our fingertips today. One of the interesting stories that I have of an organization, it's a logistics company that deployed an employee experience platform. And what they did was they were looking for ways to improve their business. They were looking for ways to improve efficiencies. And they did an open communication and survey throughout their organization on the platform, and they encouraged communication and a lot of collaboration. And one of the plant managers who was at the distribution facility had this idea of ways to pack pallets. The VP of operations sees this communication, sees this idea, and starts to explore it. It ends up leading to tens of millions of dollars in variable cost savings for a freight company, which is extremely massive. He said, why didn't you bring this idea to me 2 years ago? He goes, I did. I told Bill. He goes, okay. VP of operations goes over to Bill. Bill, Joe brought this idea. Why didn't we have this conversation? He goes, I did. I told Steve. Goes over to Steve. He goes, Steve, yeah, we sent an email on that. Okay. So the VP of operations is sitting there like, okay, so our old way of communication is broken. Our old way of communicating within our organizations is clearly broken, and an opportunity here by deploying a technology that allows and empowers your employees to actually engage with you led to tens of millions of dollars in savings. So as we look back at the employee experience cost and what this is costing the global economy, think about what it's costing you within your organizations today. Think about what opportunities could potentially be solved, what entrepreneurs could potentially be engaged with throughout your organization if they were leveraging this type of technology. And as we look forward, as we look at where we're going and where we want to take our communications and our level of communications, our employee engagement strategy, deploying a technology that not only collaborates and brings together your internal communications, your digital workplace, and engages. You've got rewards and recognition. You've got this new elevated experience where employees are encouraged, not looked down upon, to share their ideas and bring together new opportunities that can help your organization move forward. And that's truly what platforms like WorkVivo by Zoom do. And as HR and internal comms leaders, talent, recruitment, retention, as we're looking at all of those types of things, all of this needs to be driven by analytics. And this entire platform is underpinned by analytics and insights that allow you to see how your employees are communicating. That allows you to see what types of communications they are truly engaging with. All those allow you to give more information and build a true communication strategy that is impactful in moving your organization forward. So as we started the conversation today, we wanted to review, what are the biggest challenges you're facing today? So now I encourage you, after seeing all of that information, after seeing all of those statistics, what are the 3 things that you guys can action tomorrow to help move your employee experience and enhance employee engagement within your organizations? Think about that, think about the statistics, and think about what we're seeing within our labor market today. All of those statistics are looking back, but if we're not evolving and moving our organizations forward, those statistics are going to stay the way that they are. They're going to stay at 80%. They're going to stay at 60% of burnout. They're going to stay at 80% of loneliness. And I don't know about you, but if I go into work and I know that 80% of my coworkers, 4 out of 5 of them feel lonely, that's not an inspiring thing. We're not inspiring change. We're not inspiring communication and collaboration. We're just staying the same. So I want to thank you all very much for listening today. I would encourage you guys to stop by our booth. We're just outside in the corner there. We'd love to continue to talk to you about the WorkVivo platform and how we can help you guys progress your employee engagement strategy moving forward. So thank you guys.